Okay, let's see how to install PHP on Windows 11 and start a local development server. So I'm following this blog post, and of course I leave the link in the video description below. So first we need to download PHP, and we have the link here, so let's open it. So here is the link, and now PHP 8.4 is the latest version, so that's what we're going to download and install. And for most users, as written here, the thread safe version is recommended, so that's what we will download. Here we have non-thread safe, and here we have thread safe. We will download the thread safe version, and we have a zip file here. Let's download it. Great, and it was downloaded. And here is the zip file we just downloaded, and of course it's in our downloads folder. And let me just show extensions of file names. And now we can see that it is a zip file. So I'll right click on it, and it will extract the content of the zip archive to this folder. Okay, so it was extracted, and now we have everything we need in this folder. Now I'm going to move it to another folder, to a folder in the C drive, and I'll call the folder in which PHP will be in PHP 8.4. And of course, if you have another version of PHP, I know, if you have PHP 8.5 or whatever, you can name it this way. I just name mine PHP 8.4 because that's the version I have. So rename and PHP 8.4. And now I'll move it from here, so cut, and I'll place it just in my C drive. Here we go. Now, we need to add PHP, the executable file of PHP, which can be found here, php.exe. So we need to add this folder to the system's path. So how do we do that? So first we need to open the environment variables. So we click on the Windows Start menu and look for environment. And here's the option we need, edit the system environment variables. And then we need to click on environment variables. Now down here in the system variables, one of the variables is the path variable. That's the one we need to edit. So I choose it and then click on edit. We then need to click on new. And here we need to paste the folder containing PHP. So I'll copy the path to this folder. And back in the environment variable editor, I'll paste it in the new entry. So now we have here C PHP 8.4 as part of the path. And we need to click on OK. Great, so PHP was added to the path. We now need to verify our installation. So we can open the command prompt or the Windows terminal. And we need to run this command, php-v. But we don't get any response. So there is a reason for that, and we need to solve it. So we do have PHP installed, and we have it in the path, but still we don't see the version of PHP when we run this command. So it can be due to one of two reasons. First, it's blocked by the Microsoft Defender Smart Screen. So how can we understand if that's our problem? So as we said, in the PHP installation folder, we have php.exe, this one, the executable. All we need to do is to double click on the exe file. We need to try to run it from here. And we get this blue warning screen. And it basically says that Microsoft Defender Smart Screen prevented PHP from running. So all we need to do is click on more info and then run anyway. And it will allow PHP to run on our Windows machine. So that's great, but now we received another error, and that's what we see here. Missing C++ redistributables. So we fixed the first issue, we now need to fix the second one. So I click here, OK. And the way we fix this error, this VC runtime 140 DLL was not found, is simply click here on this link. And it will download the file that's missing on our computer. So I just wait for it to finish downloading. And we now need to run it. And it will install the C++ redistributables that are needed to run PHP. So let's agree to the license terms. Okay, and setup successful. And now, if we get back to the PHP installation folder and try to open php.exe, we see PHP, which looks great, and we can see the interactive shell of PHP. And if we try to run the command we started with at our terminal, we can now see that we receive PHP 8.4, which is the version of PHP we just installed. So that's great. Next, we need a new empty folder for our PHP projects. I'll call mine PHP Workspace. And in this Workspace folder, I'll create a new folder for our first project. I'll just call it PHP Tutorial. So that's done. And now we need Visual Studio Code. If you already have Visual Studio Code installed, that's great. I don't, so I'll install it from here. So of course I'll download for Windows, and I will download the system installer 64-bit. And Visual Studio Code is being downloaded. And we can now install Visual Studio Code. Okay, and we can finally open Visual Studio Code. And we now need to open the folder we created. So File, Open Folder. And I navigate to the new folder we just created. And for me, it was in the C drive, PHP Workspace and PHP Tutorial. So let's select this folder. And now we need to create a new file, and I'll call it index.php. And let's copy this simple program and paste it. And let's save our file. And now we need to open the terminal that's built into Visual Studio Code. So from the menu, Terminal and New Terminal, and you can also just press Ctrl-Shift backtick, the same thing. And first, we need to make sure that we can access PHP from Visual Studio Code. So I'll use the same command we used before. And as you can see, it didn't find PHP. All we need to do is close Visual Studio Code, then reopen it. And if we try again, we can see the version of PHP we have installed. So now we can run this command and it will start a local development server. And we receive a link to the server I've just spun up. So I'll press on Ctrl, then click on the link to follow it. And we can see the response from our server. And we can see the information for our installation of PHP.